Good afternoon, baseball fans. This is Phil Dixon coming to you live from Kansas City. This is today's edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. Guys, if you like what I'm doing here, you just hear me for the first time, go ahead and subscribe if you like this kind of talk. This is kind of like a stove league talk that covers black baseball and men who play in the Negro Leagues, who did all types of things. They were multi sport athletes, and you name it, they did it. And they don't get the recognition. So I'm here to make sure that that changes. And I want to thank you for joining. So if you're in here, go ahead and if you're listening, put in the city that you're watching this broadcast from. That usually helps more than even your name, but your city really helps. So I appreciate you joining. I do want to take a moment to thank everyone who came down to the park dedication in Kansas City, Kansas yesterday and recognized the Deputy Elijah Ming, who passed away in the line of duty. And we were down yesterday, had a nice crowd, and they renamed the park Elijah Ming Memorial Park. And so I want to thank everybody who heard my call and came out, and anyone who just came, period. Just want to thank you all, and from the bottom of my heart for getting behind that and recognizing this guy. He was a great guy who was doing great service in his community and had his life tragically taken away in the line of duty. So Officer Elijah Ming. Went to church with him, so knew him very well. He was a good guy. And a former baseball player, played baseball in college. All right? So let's go and just jump into a few historic facts that happened on this date. And somebody's already joined me. Oh, this is Reverend Carmine Woods. Thanks a lot for joining me, Pastor. And you were down there yesterday, too. So appreciate you coming down as well. So we're going to jump right in here real quick. And we're going to start giving some baseball history. So December the 12th, 1915, out hit by 10 hits to 7 by the San Bernardino, California team. Rue Foster's American Giants suffered an 8-3 loss at Urbita Park on a field damaged by automobiles. Hey, must have been pretty bad sledding there with these automobiles having been on the field. And Pete Hill, who's in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame at Cooperstown, New York, John Preston Hill, and Frank Duncan both had a pair of hits in the loss. Now Hill was awfully good, but if you can imagine this, just imagine this. In 1905, when he was playing for the Philadelphia Giants, he ripped 14 triples. And that was good enough for second place because there's a guy named Bill Monroe, who I happen to think is one of the all-time. He's robbed. Let's put it like this. This guy is being robbed by not being in the Hall of Fame. And that is Bill Monroe. And so anyway, he missed a month of play and still hit 17 triples. And that's Bill Monroe. Look, we need to look into his career more and more and more. You will find one of the most fabulous athletes that ever lived, Bill Monroe. Okay, and remember, if you're joining me, go ahead and put in your city. All right, and people saying hello. All right, let's go to another one. December the 12th, 1920. And a lot of these things happen out in the California Winter League. So pitching before a crowd of 2,800, Wilbur Bullet Rogan. Now, he's from my hometown, Kansas City, Kansas. Tossed a two-hitter to defeat Joe Peroni's All-Stars by a 4-1 score at Los Angeles' White Sox Park. George Carr collected 3 hits after Walter Malls of big league fame. And Malls had just recorded several wins in the 1920 World Series, I think pitching for Cleveland, if I'm correct. But guess what? He was no match for the big bat of George Carr. And George Carr was just an outstanding player, a good home run hitter, played for Hilldale, Darby, Pennsylvania, in the Negro Leagues, played for the Kansas City Monarchs a couple of years as well. And so just a great player. And his name is George Carr. George Carr actually passed away, even though he lived in Los Angeles. Where he passed away was at a different place because he worked as a cook on the train. And typically, I mentioned this before, if you've heard some of my other broadcasts, if you died on the train where they took you off, is where they labeled is your place of death. Such is the case of Fats Waller, the great jazz pianist, stride pianist. He died in Kansas City because that's where they took him off. But he did not live in Kansas City. He was in New York, and he was just coming through Kansas City. He passed away on the train, and that's where they took him off. All right. So if somebody's joining me from Italy, that's boy. I tell you, I don't never been to Italy. I don't have much information on Italy pertaining to the Negro Leagues, but I'm certainly glad that you're joining. All right, let's go to another one. December 12th, 1925, the Carthage, Missouri Bears football team, led by Guy Harbin. I've researched him on many occasions. Now, he was also the catcher for the local baseball team, and they defeated the Springfield African-American football team 31-0 in a well-attended game at Mount Vernon, Missouri. All right, so that's a little fact there. How about this one? December the 12th, 1925, when the Pittsburgh Courier, and that's an African-American newspaper, printed batting averages for the 1925 season. 4 players, Oscar Charleston of the Harrisburg Giants at .430 in 52 games, and 2 players from the Baltimore Black Sox, John Beckwith at .419 in 42 games, and Judd Wilson at an even 452 games, were the 3 players who batted over 400 in the Eastern Colored League. Hilldale's George Carr with 81 hits. Remember George Carr? Yeah. In 52 games. And Hillsdale's Judy Johnson with 85 hits in 58 games posted the most hits. I did have an opportunity to interview Judy Johnson, and he was a great interview. Really nice guy. Love talking to him. I do have some photographs from the 1924 World Series that he signed for me. And I have several. Actually, I have some extra ones in case somebody's really, really interested in collecting something that's quite unique. All right. So, so I'm going to go and check these facts against what they have printed online is the Negro League statistics. I'm going to do that as soon as I get off this broadcast. I may come back tomorrow and tell you a little bit more about it. So somebody said, let's see. Somebody just mentioned some things. Let me know where you're from, guys. That's pretty good. All right. And also, let's go to December the 12th, 1945. And I'm always using what we call a coming and a going. That's somebody who was born on this day, somebody who passed away on this day. Well, how about this? Ralph Allen Gore, former National League batting champion, is born in Monroe, Louisiana. Man, there's some good ball players came from Monroe. I'm thinking about Willard Brown and Cranston. Floyd Cranston came out of there. Herb Sewell came out of that area. Man, some good ones. Ball players came out of Monroe and that area down there. So, but one of the all-time greats, Ralph Gore. I had a chance to meet Ralph Gore. I had my picture taken with him and talk to him a little bit about hitting. Well, he won the National League batting title in 1974. How about that? That was the year I graduated from high school with a .353 batting average. All right. Ralph Gore. He's still around too. He's a scout. I saw him maybe about 2 years ago at a scouting conference here, and some of the guys came to Kansas City to meet, and he was there and went down and had a chance to talk to him. And like I said, I had my picture taken with him, and I put it in my scrapbook. How about that? All right. Okay, so let's keep it going. December the 12th, 1955. John Buck O'Neill was appointed scout for the Chicago Cubs. And he had just finished his last season with the Kansas City Monarchs, and they sold their last stars that they had. 3 of those guys out. Let's see. What's his name? Well, first of all, it was 3 players. One of them was George Altman, and the other one too, Lou Johnson was another one, and there was another one. I'm trying to think. He went by initials, who came up later on with the Houston Colt 45s, and so they sold those guys to the Chicago Cubs. Now, they didn't all stay with the Cubs, but Altman did come up with the Cubs. So anyway, that was the end of the Kansas City Monarchs, and of course, the next year Ted Raspberry would take them over and base the team out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. So anyway, Buck O'Neil making a transition goes and joins the Chicago Cubs organization, and Whit Matthews, the personnel director, said O'Neil will scout segregated America, all colored high schools, colleges, and leagues for the Cubs. Now, in one way, that's a good deal. In one way, it's a bad deal, because he should have just been a scout to go scout anybody he wanted to scout. But they sent him down and said, basically, you're our black scout. You go look for the black guys. We're not going to send anybody down there. You're going to send you down there. Of course, Buck could do the job real well. But Buck was more important to the Cubs organization, I think, than they were giving him credit in 1955 when they signed him, right? Okay, he could have done much more, but he did his job very well, and because of that, he was able to find people like Lou Brock, and Lou Brock is one of them. Joe Carter was another person he signed, and signed a number of people. But that was John Buck O'Neil getting his first shot and in participating and actually being on the payroll of a National League team. All right, so let's go. Got another somebody who's being born on this date, December 12th, 1964. Where were you in 64? Wow, 1964. The height of the civil rights movement. All right, so we have Alonzo Sidney Powell, outfielder for the Montreal Expos in 1987 and Seattle Mariners in 1991, is born in San Francisco, California. And Powell became the first foreign player in NPB history. Now, if you don't know what that stands for, that's the Nippon Professional Baseball League in Japan, which is the highest level of professional baseball in Japan. And he became the first player to win 3 consecutive batting titles, all while playing for the Dragons. And they considered that to be one of the greatest runs by an American hitter in the Japanese professional leagues. Hey, did you know that? This information we're not talking about, right? Okay, so that's Alonzo Sidney Powell, born on this date, December 12th, 1964. How about this one? December 12th, 1947, at Vashon High School. Now, that was an African-American high school right in the heart of St. Louis, paced by All-State center. This is basketball now. Elston Howard's 13 points. They defeated Lincoln High School of East St. Louis, Illinois by the score of 40-22 at the Pine Bluff YMCA to go into a tie for the Illinois-Missouri Basketball League lead. So did you know Elston Howard played basketball? He's a pretty good all-around athlete as well. I talk about Elston Howard all the time. Never had a chance to interview him, but I did interview many people who did know Elston Howard personally, especially when you got around St. Louis. There were lots of guys in the early 80s who knew him well and knew him as an amateur, all right? Okay, so let's keep on going. Just got 2 more, and I just want to hit these, and I want to thank everybody for joining. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe. I come back, and I do these facts every day, all right? So here we go. 2 more. December 12th, 1971. Now, this is somebody who's leaving, who's passed away. John Henry Winters, a.k.a. Nip Winters, one-time pitcher, a former pitcher for Hilldale. He led them to 2 pennants in 1924, 1925, the World's Championship in 1925. He died in Hawkinson, Delaware. And he tossed a no-hitter July 26, 1922, for the Atlantic City Bacharach Giants to defeat the Indianapolis ABCs by a 7-1 score, 7-1 score in Atlantic City. I'm always interested in some of these no-hitters where they're run scored, but they still pitched a no-hitter. There's always an interesting story about that. So if anyone's joining me later on, just go ahead and put in your city, because I'll mention that in a minute. Actually, I have just a couple more. I'm almost finished. December 12th, 1975, the National League Braves traded Ralph Garr. You remember him? The guy that won the batting title in 1974? And Lavelle Blanks to the American League White Sox were Ozzie Osbourne, Ken Henderson, and Dick Ruthven. Now, well, that's kind of rough when you win the batting title and the next year you get traded. Isn't that something? Makes it a rough sledding, doesn't it? All right then. Somebody said, I'm from Fort Mercury, Alberta, Canada. If you have any facts about there, you know what? I would dig some up. I know I've been to Canada to speak. I was in Regina, Saskatoon, and but that is Estevan. But I came in through the North Dakota side, through Minot, North Dakota. So you're a little bit different place than where I was. But yeah, I will try to put more Canadian history into these, especially when we get at the first of the year, because a lot of guys went up to Canada and played. And so there's a lot of great history. Satchel Paige pitched a lot of games in Winnipeg, but he's on the other side of the state or the country for you guys. So yeah, so somebody says, have you ever gone to Africa? Well, I'll be heading to Africa, to Ghana next year. So I will probably talk about that after I get back. All right, so we got one more, guys, here. December the 12th, 1977. Defensive standout at second base, Orlando Theo Hudson, is born in Darlington, South Carolina. This guy played for the Blue Jays, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, the Twins, the Padres, and the White Sox. Now, here's the interesting thing. This guy won 4 Gold Gloves. Did you know that? He won 4 Gold Gloves. We don't talk about these guys nearly enough. 4 Gold Gloves as a second baseman. And he won one for, let's see. He won one in 2005 with the Toronto Blue Jays, 2006 with the Arizona Diamondbacks, 2007 again with the Diamondbacks, and in 2009 with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And guys, we don't talk about them. So, and what's interesting is for so many years, especially the first half of the 20th century, they wanted us to believe that these African-American players couldn't compete in the league. And then I'm showing you all these things that these guys are doing all over the world, really, not just in America. You know, they've got lots of examples, whether it's in Canada or Mexico or Puerto Rico or Cuba, and even Japan, as you can see here today. There were a lot of achievements made. So these guys were really outstanding athletes, and we need to tell their story. So guys, I just want to thank everybody for joining me today. This is always fun for me. And let's see, I've got people coming in here. Let's see, somebody saying hello from Italy, got that one. And somebody said, your hat looks 2 sizes too small. Well, you know what? I wear this short bill hat purposely because if I wear a long bill hat, it kind of covers my head, covers my face a little bit. So I wear short bill hats when I do this broadcast, all right? So it actually fits very good. So, okay, let's see. Somebody said, if you could visit any country, what would it be? Well, I want to go to every place baseball is played. So the furthest way I would like to go is probably Australia. There's a lot of Australian baseball players who are playing in the American National League now. So I'd like to go there. I haven't been to Canada. And Japan is another one. I've got great history related to Japanese baseball, especially African-American teams going to Japan as early as 1927. Okay, somebody mentioned that. Okay, let's see. All right, okay. There's always somebody who gets into things that have nothing to do with baseball when they're making their comments. I always say, guys, look, if you want to get into politics or something like that, this is probably not the place for you. Why don't you just go over there and get into politics? But if you want to enjoy sports and maybe have a good conversation about sports related to baseball, if you want to know something about the Negro Leagues or African-American players who played all kinds of sports, you want to know something about HBCUs, traditionally black colleges and universities, this is a good place to be. But guys, if you're interested in these other topics, I would suggest that you go to those places and have the kind of discussions. Sometimes they're not even discussions; they're just arguments. People just throwing out oddball stuff. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for joining. I should try to keep it down to 20 minutes, and I'm right. at 20 minutes. So I want to thank you for joining. If you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to build this network, and I'll keep bringing you the facts as long as you want them. And I want to tell you that I really appreciate you, because for the past 45 years, and when January comes, it's going to be 46 years, I've been telling these stories, and you guys have had me speak and purchase books and everything that I've written for all that particular time. So I thank you and I appreciate you all. So that kind of does it for me, guys. And I do appreciate you taking, if you took 5 minutes out of your day to listen to this, I respect that, because there's so many other things you could be doing with your time. So if you stayed the entire broadcast, guys, I really tip my hat to you, right? So you have a nice day and have a nice weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow with another edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. And guys, I got some good stuff tomorrow. I've got some good facts. I tell you, you want to come back and keep on hearing some of this baseball. And I've even got some guys who are playing, baseball players playing football tomorrow. I'll be talking about that. And got to see a fact about Jackie Robinson. So it's going to go on. So, all right. Thank you, guys. You have a nice day and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.